Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tami Patzer.
Hi, this is Tami Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce you to today's guest, Jenny Eden Berk. Jenny is a certified eating psychology coach, body image mentor, international speaker, and international best-selling author of the new release, The Body Image Blueprint. She is the founder of Jenny Eden Coaching, a practice devoted to helping women, men, and teens heal their relationship with food and their bodies. She specializes in unique binge eating cessation techniques and mindful eating practices. She resides in Boston with her husband, 3 young daughters, and in addition to coaching and writing, she loves to cook, entertain, travel, as well as practice hot yoga and kettlebell training. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Well, thank you. So your book, The Body Image Blueprint, just hit the international bestseller list just a day or so ago. Can you tell me more about your book and how you came to write it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, body image is such a personal topic, but it's something that we all grapple with. We all have an opinion about our bodies, right? And I read a recent study that 91% of women are unhappy with what they see in the mirror. 91%. And I felt like, wow, why is there so much body loathing? Why are we so unhappy with our exteriors? And I felt that this was a book that was so necessary and so important in order to be able to help people heal their relationship with their bodies. And I'll also say that this book is part memoir. So in the book, I talk about my own sort of dieting indoctrination into chronic dieting and how I eventually got unshackled from that and learned to heal my own relationship with my body. So for me, it's a very personal issue, and it's very much in line with how I help people in my practice.
So tell me a little bit more about your personal journey.
Sure.
To discover what you're trying to do now in helping other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a family where my mom is a gourmet chef. And I had the most amazing after school snacks. I mean, food was love in my family, but I was the only one in my family who struggled with weight. And I always sort of felt this weird, like my mom's a very petite woman. And, I got a lot of mixed messages like, here, have all this food. I'm making this all for you. And at the same time felt like, oh, well, you better watch it though. So I got a lot of mixed messages. I felt pretty good about who I was. And I always had these conflicting beliefs based on dieting culture. And, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and all of these fad diets started to pop up then. And we all got kind of swept up in the trends of the time. But I had no idea the detrimental effects of what chronic dieting could do to your psyche, to your metabolism, to your weight, to everything. And so for me, it was a really interesting journey. And then I ended up working at a national weight and health management company for 13 years. And my primary role there was to help people lose aggressive weight loss, right? So it was a very aggressive weight management program. And I started to feel like, wow, am I really helping people? Or am I just putting a salve on the wound, to make people do these aggressive diets without really looking at the underlying reasons why people overeat and why people binge eat. So I started to feel like, I really want to help people in a deeper way. I want to write a book about how we can learn to have a healthy relationship with food to begin with, and start to honor, respect, and appreciate our bodies and the amazing vessels that we have that we end up bullying all the time to be a size and shape that it may not want to be. I realized for myself that I just kept bullying and dieting and over exercising into a shape and size that my body was clearly telling me like, yo, I don't want to be this. Because otherwise I wouldn't have kept gaining it back, right? And having to do the whole thing over again. And when I finally started to just let myself be, like I raised the white flag, I was like, I surrender. And what happened was just this beautiful vulnerability and peace and happiness. And I started to enjoy food again. I became fearful of food when I was dieting all the time. Like, oh, that's bad and that's good. And now I just have this really healthy, balanced relationship with food. And my body sort of just started to heal on its own. And I've never felt better. So this is really what I wanted to write about and have people understand that there can be a different way and it can feel amazing.
So tell me a little bit about how the structure of the book, and maybe give 3 things that can help somebody evaluate and start on the journey to having a better body image and, of course, a better relationship with food.
Yeah, sure. And I'll just mention first that in this book, I interviewed over 60 people because I knew I wasn't alone in this. I knew that everybody had a story to tell. And I asked very specific questions with people ranging in age from 22 all the way to 70. And it was amazing to hear all their stories too. And some of the things that they, struggle with. But to answer your question, in the book, I have 4 realms. So I have an embodiment realm, I have a physical realm, I have a social realm, and then a dietary and nutritional realm. So those 4 things are what I explore in the book in the end to help people start to heal their relationship. So embodiment is a big part of what I do. So it's sort of like agreeing to be in your body in the first place. A lot of us live up in our heads. We're very cerebral. We're distracted. We're thinking about stuff all the time. And we don't drop into our bodies enough to really listen. Our bodies are communicating with us all the time, but we don't listen. So like it's whispering to us. And we only listen when it's like yelling, like, oh, I'm in pain, or like, I feel crappy. So a lot of what I do is help people to drop into embodiment now in all different phases. So some of that might look like gratitude practices, a body scan, work around sensuality and sexuality, work about, meditation and mindfulness. So those are some of the embodiment realm stuff. In terms of the social realm, I help people try to embrace other people who are soulful and want to be body positive and who are not scrutinized. There's a lot of people who like scrutinize and to judge. And a lot of what helped me was I started to associate with people who were non-judgmental and who were very laid back and non-judgmental, just didn't scrutinize other people all the time. And I started to look at other like health at every size programs and groups online about body positivity. And so I suggest some of that stuff as well. In terms of the physical realm, it's about healing your potential fraught relationship with exercise. So for me, exercise was often a means to an end. The only reason to do it was to burn calories and to make up for the cake you ate or, whatever it was. It wasn't about joy. It wasn't about health. It wasn't about the feeling of moving my body. And so in the book, I talk a lot about some ways that you can heal your relationship with exercise and to make it more about play and happiness and being joyful. What are the ways that you like to move your body? Like I always felt pressure, like I should be a runner and I should be this. And I hate running. So that's okay. I learned I like yoga. Great. Okay. And I love kettlebell. So everybody is different. And it's about honoring those differences and finding what is the way that you feel good in your skin when you're moving. And then finally, the dietary realm. I talk a lot about mindful eating as a way to heal your relationship with your body, about not being restrictive with foods, and to just learn about what are the foods that make you feel the best in your skin. And that might be totally different for you than it is for me. And so to say that you have some perfect cookie cutter diet to try, I think is absurd because every single person is different and has bioindividuality. Some people have allergies. Some people have certain food proclivities. Some people have certain food aversions, right? So it's all a journey about you being your own dietary detective and finding out the very foods that will make your body just feel incredible. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, that's really interesting because obviously you're dealing with the whole person and not only the body and the mind, but you're also incorporating the spiritual realm too. So that's really an interesting way to look at it. When you interviewed the 60 people ranging from age of 22 all the way to 70, what did you find that seemed to be the common threads with all these people?
Oh, there were so many. What I mostly found is that people come from a place of inherent lack of self-worth, that they assume that their bodies are broken or need to be fixed or need to be changed, and that there isn't a sense of deep acceptance. So I asked questions like, what's a part of your body that you love? And people really struggled with that question. And then I asked, what's a part of your body that you feel uncomfortable with, or you're not as, needs a little bit more love. And it was like all over the place. I also found that I was very curious about when people started to have an identity about their bodies. And I had thought it would be, very early on in life, but I found that it was all over the place, like in high school or during puberty, or somebody said at age 30, they started to realize that they maybe look different than other people, or that they had an opinion. And so it was absolutely fascinating to me to hear the range of answers. But the commonalities between them, I found, was that there's a consistent message in society that you're just not good enough as you are, and that you have to buy this product, take this service, do this thing, do this diet, exercise, whatever, in order to know love and worthiness and acceptance. And for me, that validated so much why I had to write this book, because there were so many commonalities there. And I feel like for our next generation, I have 3 young daughters, and I don't want them growing up in a society that only values the exterior package. And that I felt that we have to find a way to tap into our souls a bit more, and to tap into the light that we have inside of us, so that we can manifest the gifts that we all have in the most potent, powerful way possible. And I will tell you that when I finally stopped dieting and obsessing about calories and exercise and all this stuff, I had this immense expansiveness occurred. And I had so much more abundance in my life. And I became so much more interesting and fun to be around. And I was able to explore things about myself that I really wasn't able to before. And so for me, that's what I want for other people. And that's why I wanted to write the book. And that's why I'm hoping there will be as many eyes on this book as possible.
Well, I'm trying to help you do that.
You
so
sure
tell
are.
me a little bit more about how people can work with you, or how you work with people.
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. So oftentimes people will come in to my office, and still they'll say, I want to lose weight. And I said, okay, but what do you really want? Oh, I want to lose weight. And I said, okay, but go deeper. What do you want? And I want to feel good in my skin. I want to feel good in my clothes. I want to, do the things that I love to do. I want to, pursue my passions. I want balance. And all of a sudden all this stuff comes out, right? So my work with people is about those things. How do we get those things first? And you know what? Weight loss may happen. It may not happen. But if you start from the premise of weight loss, you may not get these other things. If you start from the premise of giving you what this client really wants in life, and tapping into that, then they have it all, right? Because that's where happiness is. And so what I do with people is, I identify sort of the stressors in their lives, and it could be with relationships, it can be with work, it could be with so many things, because the way that people are in life mirrors the relationship they have with food in a lot of ways. And so what I do with people is I focus on those things, and then I relate it back to their relationship with food. And I also spend a lot of time working on mindful eating practices, learning how to slow down, learning how to be present for the eating experience, learning how to appreciate the eating experience. And I have a lot of techniques that I use with people just to support them not binge eating anymore, emotional eating. And then I do a lot of what I've talked about in terms of the embodiment practice, helping them learn to find ways to move their bodies in a way that makes them feel good. And it's a lot of it, people call me a food therapist because it's a lot of like tapping into their childhood. What was the family meal like? What was the relationship that their parents had around food that maybe got embedded onto them? What were some of their early potential traumas that they had in life? And I like to sort of weave it in. Like I like to understand what their whole process was to where they got to now, because it informs how I will treat and work with them in some ways.
That's really interesting because as you're talking, I remember distinctly when I gained weight in the 3rd grade, and I was playing a part in a play called Susie Sweet Tooth. And my mother swears that's when all of a sudden I started to like sweet things when before I didn't, but I don't know. But I do remember I gained weight in the 3rd grade, and then I struggled with it all the way through high school. And then when I left home, I actually dropped down to a normal weight and was able to maintain that for about 10 years or so. And then I had kids and things changed. But that's interesting. So if somebody wants to find out more about you, to work with you, where can we get that information?
Yeah, great. Thank you. My website is www.jennyedencoaching.com. So it's Jenny, and then my middle name, E-D-E-N, coaching.com. And of course, you can go onto Amazon and purchase my new release, The Body Image Blueprint. Hooray! And I do, on my site, there's different ways that you can opt into my mailing list. I offer a recipe of the week, and I do a lot of eating psychology tips. And I also have a free mindful eating mini course that people can look into as well. And I can provide that information. But if you dig around, it'll be on my website as well.
So it's
also
JennyEdenCoaching.com.
Yes, that's right. And I also have a Facebook group that anyone is welcome to join. It's called Wellness Warriors. And I do a lot of Facebook challenges in there, free challenges. I do takeover weeks where I have different wellness practitioners come in and do workshops. I do workshops of my own. It's super fun, very engaged, very supportive group of people. And anyone's welcome to join that as well.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I like the fact that you're using, virtual world, real world, because that is what we have to learn how to cope with now, is how to be in our bodies. Mm-hmm. And because we live so much of our lives in this virtual place, and so much of, we're sitting a lot. Yeah. And like you were talking about the running, and when you were talking about that, I was laughing because I was one of those people. It's like, to me, running means a side ache because we used to have to run around the track.
Oh my gosh, me too.
And I'd get a side ache because obviously I didn't know how to breathe.
Right.
And so it brings up all of these emotions of, I guess, what would be considered failure in that realm. But like you said, you found hot yoga is something you really enjoy, kettlebells. And I like just walking, the dog or something is really good. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Your book, I know for a fact because I went and looked, your book is an international bestseller. I found it in Canada, in Australia, and I think the United Kingdom. It was actually had ranking numbers. So congratulations on that. And I actually was watching your book the other day, and you released it and it went right up the chart. Hot new release, and then the #1 status. And it is really important. And I'm just I have a lot of people who watch my interviews and they love to get the golden nuggets. So I'm going to give you some advice about how to keep the momentum going, share, keep talking about your book, get on interviews, on podcasts, on radio, on TV, share in different groups, share these interviews, and keep talking about the book, and get some of those people you interviewed Maybe you could get them on a Facebook Live and have them talk to you again now that the book is out. If you have, 60 people to choose from, I'm sure that a percentage of them would be more than happy to come and talk about this. But keep that momentum going, and it will really help you. So that would be my advice to you, is keep talking about it and never, ever be afraid to keep posting, because only 5 to 7% of people anywhere will see your posts at any one time anyway. Wow. So always know that the people who are seeing it are going to enjoy it because it's interesting to them, and new people will also see it. And of course that will grow. And it is a really important book, because all of us need to know that we are good enough just the way we are. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great advice. I really appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you.
Thanks. This is Tami Patzer. Go make it a great day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tami Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.